Hey everyone, this is Dan Cohen with Behind the Headlines. Today I'm going to be covering the Israeli assault on Gaza. As of right now, Thursday afternoon in the US, there are 83 Palestinians killed in the last couple days of this attack. And I have a really good guest from Gaza, Dr. Mohammed Ziara, who is a surgeon at al-Shifa Hospital. Al-Shifa is the biggest hospital in Gaza, and just one of the most intense scenes and difficult medical places to work, frankly, in the world. And for anyone who knows anything about the 2014 assault on Gaza, it was just scenes of absolute horror where about 40 Palestinians were killed every day for 51 days, approximately. So really pleased to be able to have the privilege to speak with Dr. Ziara. So thanks a lot for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So first, can you discuss what have you seen over the last few days as Israel has killed all of these Palestinians?
The few days we faced the mass casualties in our hospital, which is the biggest hospital maybe in all of Palestine. We dealt with so huge number of cases in so little time or short time. Compared to the 2014 war, uh, we we see that the rate of the casualties when it was at its peak back then in 2014, it is the same at the beginning of this situation and this war. What we see and we remark every day that the most and the vast majority of casualties and injured people, the dead, the the casualties we receive and we deal with every day is from our children and women, mostly young people and or elderly. Uh, and to mention that these casualties were always and most of the time were walking by the place where the rockets were thrown at these places. So when we look at these casualties, they all from the walking by people, the elderly and the young children. Uh, some of them were asleep. I have received three dead bodies from the previous night. They were asleep and they were bombed and were killed in their beds.
Yeah, this is a really common thing. I remember that a lot from the 2014 war on Gaza. So many people were killed asleep in their beds, um, because Israel is bombing civilian targets, including just residential homes. Um, when
It's,
you say they were a lot of these casualties and deaths were from where rockets were thrown, do you mean where Israeli missiles landed, or where from rockets from army groups in Gaza
of
launched?
course, of course, of the warplane that shoot bombs on the civilians. Most of yesterday, I received a case. The yeah, a woman in her 40. She was going to bring her mom's medication from the pharmacy, and when she arrived, she had her leg completely separated, amputated, and she wasn't completely conscious. She was just saying, "I have to bring medication for my mom." So that's what you see. This is the situation. All the people, anyway, anytime they are may have faced they will face the bombing, the injury from any place.
I know al-Shifa in previous years has been threatened by the Israelis with bombing attacks, and the Israelis have targeted many medical facilities in Gaza. I remember there was like a disability rehabilitation hospital in the east of Gaza City that they bombed in 2014 and completely destroyed.
Al-Wafa,
Yeah, exactly. Al-Wafa, exactly.
Al-Wafa
Um,
Hospital.
can you talk about, or is there talk about worries of that kind of thing happening? And can you kind of talk about Israeli targeting of medical facilities? And also, one of the things that sticks out in my memory being in Gaza during the 2014 war and afterwards is there was a graveyard of ambulances sitting in front of the hospital, of ambulances that were targeted by Israeli missiles. So can you talk about some of the dangers for medical professionals in Gaza and even for the hospitals themselves?
All the time we hear about threatening and threats to from the Israeli side to be bombing the hospitals. Many hospitals were partially destroyed or affected by these bombs. Al-Shifa Hospital back in 2014, where took a missile in the borders of its walls, and another incident that one medical news reporter, was targeted at the gate of the hospital. So these kind of things may occur anytime, and we all the time we get threats about targeting this hospital, claiming that this hospital contains any of the resistance or some of the political people that hide in it, which is completely false and completely isn't true. So we expect that, and we know that even in the hospital we can't be safe, but still we don't have anything to do with it. So we take our measurement, but if you are not safe in hospital, there is no place to be safe in. Another thing, the bombing the last night at the Al Saraya Square. It is the next to the Al Wafa Hospital, the new Al Wafa Hospital, which was created so short and so near this time. Maybe about a month ago, it was ready to be started to work, and I'm sure I don't have the information, but I'm sure it has some damage or some it was affected by this bombing because it is all around it. About the medical staff and the paramedics that always risk their lives to bring injured people and the cases on to our hospital. Uh, I remember that the once they brought two of the paramedics from under the ground and under the the destroyed area
The
places,
rubble, yeah.
and the rubble, exactly, and they were bombed at the same time where they are rescuing the injured people. So these things and incidences that it occurs all the time in the court situation.
Now the Netanyahu is talking about and threatening. He's rejected a ceasefire, first of all, and the United States has helped block a ceasefire proposal from the United Nations, and Netanyahu is threatening a ground invasion, which, of course, would be extremely bloody um, for the civilians, particularly in the border areas like Shujaiya, like in 2014, and along all of the border areas, in addition to the rest of Gaza. But um, how are you and the medical personnel in al-Shifa and other hospitals preparing for this? And do you have adequate supplies for, if it becomes as horrific as 2014, which, certainly it's possible. How are the supplies in the hospital, considering, of course, this siege that prevents medical equipment from entering Gaza, and what is the situation at the hospital?
If there is any hospital in the world to be dealing with this situation, like what happened back in 2014, it is impossible. It is absolutely impossible to deal with the number of the casualties that arrive to the hospitals. So when imagining that what would happen now, as the news rushing about a ground invasion, there is no way we are ready for this situation. There is no, with any means, with any possibility that we are ready to face this number of casualties and this situation. So to add to that, the shortage of the medical supplies, the number of the medical beds and the facilities in al-Shifa hospital, and the most of the strip hospital, we can't be ready to receive this number of cases. So as a measurement of to support this preparation to receive or to deal with these kind of injuries and this number of casualties. The orders came to our hospital to evacuate every single bed that is not related to the war, and to transfer these patients to Egypt, or to other wards that may be not related to the surgical department. So we are transferring patients to Egypt, and transferring other patients to medical departments, and maybe to pediatric departments. Now, if when coming to medical supplies, we always have shortage, and with the current situation with the pandemic of Corona and COVID-19, the situation is even worse, because we already have shortage in medical supplies, shortage with facilities, the ICU incubators, the medical staff, which can't be meeting the need of these demands from people, from everyone, from everywhere. So the situation with pandemic and the war situation is so hard on us, and it's impossible to be dealt with.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You began working in al-Shifa in 2014, right?
Yes, in the 1st of April 2014, exactly.
Right, the 1st of
Yeah,
April. So just
about 2-3 months from the war. 2 months.
right,
Yeah.
2 to 3 months before the 51-day war that killed about 2,200 Palestinians. So that's an incredible, must have been a pretty extreme experience to go from a medical student and resident to suddenly you're in one of the most intense medical situations that any doctor on earth faces, any surgeon. And then, of course, you have everything with the following years, you have the Great March of Return, and the constant casualties and killing from that. How how do you handle the psychological pressure of such an extreme situation, um, and knowing that that could repeat?
As I told you, these situations is not the type of situations, and the memories are not the type of food that go away easily. I worked in al-Shifa hospital as a medical intern before, at back at the 2012, with the war and the attack about the last 1 week, and it was horrible. It was very hard on me to take, as my first experience with this type of injuries and these casualties. And when the war at 2000, the attack and the Israeli attack on Gaza in 2014, we didn't know how much and how big is the things and this period will last. And at first, I was like, it was going to last for 1 week, 10 days, and it was very very much bigger than any situation we have dealt with before and we see. Every time the attack and the power and the aggression of the strikes and the attack from the Israeli war machines were much stronger and much harder to take. So after these situations and these periods of war and bombing and death, the memories that last are so hard to take and so hard to remember. We are trying to forget about it, but some flashbacks and some pictures doesn't go nearly forever. So when Israel war machines and Israeli army was bombing al-Shifa, and the number we talk at the early morning when I arrived at the hospital. Let me remind you that I work for 24 hours and go back to home for about 12 or 18 hours, and go back to hospital to work another 24 to 30 hours. So we almost see every casualty, every injured people, every injured person that comes to our hospital. So when thinking about the massacres that happened back then, and imagining and thinking this would repeat itself, and it will come back and happens again. It is so hard to prepare ourselves. It's so hard to prepare ourselves emotionally or psychologically. Our psychological support is not available by any means in Gaza. It is not in the preparatory of our hospital and our community, because there is so much more damaged people, and there is much people, many people that are suffering more than our medical staff. So we are trying to do our best, trying to provide the optimal service with what we have, the minimal requirements, and we are trying to focus on in helping these people, whatever the situation. I remember back in 2014 when I went in the intermediate room or the ICU room of the ER. with three, and then it got five cases in the ER, in the ICU of the ER, which deal with the most critical cases. And then I went out to see. It was like the ER was empty. But when I went out, I found there is no place to put a foot from the injured people, and they were all critical situation. There's no one which simple case or mild case. They were all like the first five uh, injured people that we received. The ER was full with these injured people that need critical help. So this time I will never forget, because I was shocked. I stopped for a moment and I couldn't move. I was seeing these numbers. Some are were lifting their hands, lifting their legs in their hands. It was separated from their body, and everyone was shouting. There is no way anyone can deal with this situation. No hospital can deal with this situation. And then I remember that I have to work. I have to move. I have to provide what I can. And maybe another day will come. Another sun will rise again on this city. Because at that moment I wasn't sure that will another sun will rise on this place. Um, so to summer, there is no there's no way to recover from these moments. It will always be in our mind, and it will always will remind us there is hope, because another day came and another year came. And today we are preparing for another invasion, and we are waiting and listening to the news. But we are full of hope that this day will end, and another day will be better, inshallah.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the shortages of supplies. What kind of supplies, if you can like elaborate a little bit, are there shortages of in the hospital?
Mostly all kinds of supplies are in shortage, and we lack mainly the medical supplies that the support the critical cases, like the ICU equipment, the beds, the facilities, the medical equipment that we use every day, and we use especially in ER. We lack the monitors and the machines that runs and that provide blood pressure saturation for the patients. We also yesterday we had one Doppler machine or Doppler equipment that measured the blood flow in the extremities and the limbs, that will provide service for all people and all injured people. So that was a disaster, because it is if this equipment that need to be available, and it should be mandatory in our hospital. It is not. It is not in the promo, the the good and the ideal quantities. So many other things like the gauze, the medical medications, the drugs that we use to provide to deal with the injured people, especially the painkillers. We don't have access a good access for a good supply of these. So we with this lack of drugs, we are trying to triage people who need painkillers because there is shortage in these supplies. So people have no chance or minimal chance to have a painkiller in ER. That's the situation. That's how far we came and how far it is the shortage in our facility.
I just want to emphasize, for our viewers that these shortages are a direct result of the Israeli siege, that denying the hospitals the most basic medical supplies, as Dr. Ziara said, gauze and painkillers, anesthesia. I mean, is very incredibly barbaric. I mean, it's to think of uh, the times before anesthesia existed, which is, I mean, where surgeries were just done with a knife and people had to bite the bullet. That's what we say in English. I mean, is just unbelievably cruel and shocking. And I know this has been that way for many years, but I think we should really emphasize how serious that is. Dr. Ziara, you're also a plastic surgeon, which I think when a lot of people think of plastic surgery, they don't think of serious medical uses for this. Can you talk about how plastic surgery and your skills in this field are applied to what you're doing in al-Shifa with injuries?
Our plastic surgery department isn't like the plastic surgery department in any world, any place or any hospital in the world, because we mainly deal with the injured people afterward, and the main thing or responsibilities that we have is to deal with these cases afterward, like some and many of the injured people from the Great March of Return. So we deal every day with these cases, like the injury in the face, the amputation, the loss of tissue and the skin in any part of the body. So every day we deal primary with people to save lives. Afterward, the part where the plastic surgeon interfere and to continue with these patients to reconstruct some of their limbs, to reconstruct some of their lost tissue, to provide a solution or the help for them to retrieve some of their limbs function, some of their normal look, which is mostly very difficult, and the injuries always so bad and can't have the favorable results that we all wish for. Also, the equipments we have in plastic surgery is very uh, start level or beginning level that we can't provide the ideal or the advanced technology we see and know about every day that's revolved and evolved in many other hospitals and many other countries. So the main thing we are trying to restore the function of the body and the function of the organ that has been injured. And to say again about the shortage from the medical supply that caused by the occupation, we don't have any way to bring any medical supplies without the confirmation and the approval from the Israeli side. So if we are trying to get any medical supplies, any donations from Egypt and the I mean the border with Egypt, because many are trying to help and to send equipment and medical supplies, but it is not approved by the Israeli side. So this is very crucial, and this is very barbarian. The Israeli side also controlled these medical supply when the pandemic started, and when Gaza was the outbreak started in Gaza, and the peak was in Israel and the West Bank and in the world. It was gone. So we started late in Gaza, the pandemic, and we had so many cases, and the pandemic was so severe. We are not ready because the world was involved in providing their hospitals with the ventilators, the equipment. So Israel, the two uh, no, they didn't approve and stop the medical supply from reaching our city. So that was this is the situation every day, all the year, currently and during the pandemic, even before that, the medical supplies are so hard to get in Gaza.
Finally, is there anything you want to say to maybe fellow medical professionals who are watching from the outside? Any message you have for anyone on the outside watching who wants to support?
Well, it is. I see support from everywhere, from my colleagues, from the medical doctors and medical staff everywhere. They are always calling and always provide their prayers, provide their support, and show their empathy with us. We hope uh, from any medical experienced teams, surgical teams, to come and to provide support here in Gaza. We know it is hard because even in the West Bank, the doctors are trying to come here, and they don't have the approval from the Israeli side to come and to help in the war massacres that happened. But we always appreciate any help from anyone, from any person, and especially from the medical teams in providing experience, providing any kind of um, um, maybe groups that comes to help us in Gaza. I know that the most important thing is to provide training and to provide medical supplies. Maybe taking our staff to be trained in higher centers outside may provide a better chance for our injuries and our cases. Our people will have better chance. That's affirmative. That's for sure, because we are trying our best with our uh, what we need, what we have here, and if maybe if we had the more experience, the more equipments, maybe we will get a better chance to provide better help and provide medical care for these injuries, maybe better.
I think here in the United States, the way that we can make your job easier is to demand that our government force Israel to stop the bombing, stop the assault. So then you won't have to do this kind of work. So I want to thank you very much, Dr. Ziara, for your time and sharing your experience and your thoughts. And hopefully things calm down, quiet as soon as possible. And all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, and a big thank and the appreciation for you and many of the same that provide our support with this kind of movement and their voice to raise against this Israeli army and this crucial attack. We think our hope and main hope is to the general and national community to stop now and to prevent it from happening again. So our hope, new and many of the same as you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.